Welcome to Truth and Company podcast. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria. And tonight, our guest is not only a realtor by day, but the founder and the drummer of Booty and the Hoefish by night and on the weekends. Let me welcome Ryan Bayless to the show. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking time to come on.
Awesome. Well, happy to be here.
So first, let me ask you, why music?
Well, it's basically part of my soul. I mean, I grew up with it. My dad was actually a drummer in a few local bands growing up. So I grew up watching him from the time I was born. And it's always something I wanted to do. So, I mean, as soon as I was old enough to hold sticks, I started playing. And it's just once you get the bug, you can't quit. It's just part of every fiber of my being, and without it, I don't know what I'd do.
Okay, I mean, I guess basically that answers my next question then. Why the drums in particular? Because your father was a drummer and you kind of just watched him and then picked up the sticks at a young age. So, how long have you actually been playing the drums then?
I always say my first language is actually music. I learned to read music before I could read like English, before I could read, you know, the Cat in the Hat or whatever. I could read notes on a page. So, I mean, as long as I can remember, my dad was giving me, lessons. He was my hero. So I would watch him day in and day out drumming, and just I couldn't tell you a definitive date when I started because it's just always been with me.
But I mean, you're talking like what, 3, 4 years old, maybe?
Basically, yeah. I mean, as long as I can remember, I was always drumming along or sitting on his lap playing. And I think they got me a drum kit for like my fourth birthday, like a little kid's one, and uh, ever since I've been playing.
Jeez. So, do you play any other instruments besides the drums?
Yep, I play piano. I took lessons for a few years on that. I can play a little guitar. I can play all my chords and fake it. Um, but piano and drums are my two big ones.
Okay, and some people might not know if they haven't been to one of your shows, or maybe if they haven't, you don't sing all the time, but you actually do vocals as well sometimes. So, how hard is that for a drummer to actually concentrate on the drums and focus on the words of a song?
It's actually why I don't do it on a lot of them. It's very hard because you kind of have to split your brain. You have to go very uh, almost mechanically, just off your muscle memory, do the drum parts, and then do the singing parts and remember your lyrics, all the rest of it. So it's really difficult to do. So I don't like to do it often. I'll do it on maybe one or two songs a show. I'll do a lot of backup vocals, but for like songs that feature me, I try not to do it too much because it's just so mentally taxing to do. I don't know how Phil Collins does it.
So, when did you form Booty and the Whole Fish?
Well, it's kind of a long time coming. We originally I used to work at the deck in tech services, and some buddies of mine and some coworkers were sitting around at work one day, and we're thinking of, well, what we should come up with a band idea. What's a good idea? And we were spitballing ideas. Well, what if we did like a 90s, 2000s cover band? The 80s at the time, this was probably back in 2014, was so saturated. Like nobody was doing 90s. And so we talked about it then, and we did like one practice and it kind of fell off. And then it kind of came back. I was talking with some of those same friends back in 2022, late 2022, and we decided, we'll give it a shot again, see if we can find some people to get this going. We had some practices, and the next thing we knew, some a friend of mine booked us a show to play at a high school reunion, just kind of a one-off deal. And so we hurried up and learned 3 hours of music. And the next thing you know, we've had more gigs lined up, and the rest is history. Now we're playing all the time.
So now, were you ever in any other bands before you formed this one?
I was in some bands. I mean, nothing like local things that I don't think anyone would know. Um, but like in high school, I was in a band called Down Goes Frazier, actually in a homage to the boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Um, but that was one of the bands I was in. You can find some terrible YouTube clips of that. I would fill in on drums at occasional things around town. I played occasionally with like Shane Nelson and the Crescent Moon Band. I played at churches and stuff, and so I would play just filling in wherever I could, but never really a dedicated band. And then I'd occasionally too fill in with my dad on his projects. If he was sick or couldn't play a show, I would take over and play them.
Okay, so now let's get back to the name, Booty and the Hoefish. So do we know there's a lot of Karens out there nowadays? Have you ever been approached and people complain about the name?
I mean, it is a little crude, but I mean, that's what we are. We're punk rock, and if someone wants to complain, take it up with management.
All right. And then on another note, is there a lot of people out there that when they come to your shows or they go online, do they automatically think that you're a cover band of Hootie and the Blowfish?
Who are they?
Okay.
Never heard of them. They sound like they suck.
Okay, we'll move on. So what do you love the most about being part of a band?
Um, you know, for me, and I tell this to the other guys in the band too, and pretty much anyone who asks, my favorite part is when I'm playing, uh, I can't focus on anything else. It takes complete, it dominates my entire mind when I'm having to play. It's a physical expression as well as a mental thing where I have to be totally focused, and there's no room for the outside, like the pressures of work, uh, everyday life. You can completely shut that out when you're playing the drums and you're jamming to these tunes, and it's really just a time where I can shut everything else out, hang out with my friends, and just make music. uh, when I hear that at the start of the night, we always do this THX theme, that they do at the start of Star Wars, that big noise. And when I hear that play, it's my favorite part of the week because I know for the next 3 hours, I don't need to think about anything else in the world. All I need to do is make music. And it's awesome.
Okay. So now, what are some of the plans in 2026 for you and the band?
Oh, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff on tap. Some of the more exciting stuff right now. I mean, we're always in growth mode. We never want to get complacent. So we've got our foot on the gas, trying to think of ways that we can grow and get bigger and do bigger shows. Some of the stuff we're doing right now, we're in the process of putting together potentially a tour in June for a few weeks where we'll go across Minnesota, hit a few other towns. We're looking at probably the Twin Cities, Rochester, Mankato, St. Cloud. We want to take it on the road, hit some new communities. We're doing the Lake Nebagamon fireworks. That's a big one that we're really excited about. And another big one that we've got on tap that I know we're all really excited about. We're booked for the Reefs back to school party for UMD, where they shut down that road right alongside the Reef Bar in Duluth, and it's a huge party. So we're really excited about that. Plus maybe a few other things that we're cooking.
All right. So if anybody is trying to book you guys or look you up to see what your schedule is, all they have to do is go to your website, which is actually going across the bottom of my screen right now. If anybody's watching this, you can write it down. You can contact Ryan. Like I said, he is the founder of the band, so he'll probably be the one that responds to you on any emails or off of any of the websites or the Facebook pages or whatever. So you'll probably talk to him directly about booking him or any schedules or anything like that.
That's right. Yeah, bootyandthehoefish.com.
All right. Well, let's get to these random 20 questions. You ready?
I guess we'll see.
All right. Question one. So tell me about your background and your upbringing a little bit.
Okay. I mean, I was born right here in Superior. Um, Lived here my whole life. Still live in Superior, like about a mile from where I grew up. So didn't go very far, but grew up with two parents who were musicians. My dad, though, was really inspiring to me. He was playing in bands on the weekends, um, and just loved hearing those drums all the time. And so, uh, really fell in love with that from an early age. Uh, and then my mom is also a very accomplished, actually accordion player. So she has a huge musical background too. Really phenomenal musicians for parents. So it carried through. And then I have a sister. Grew up here in Superior, hung around, went to UMD, got a bachelor's degree in communication because I always knew I wanted to sell stuff. And then ended up working at Black Bear Casino for a little while, uh, as a VIP host, and that's a whole nother world I could get into. That could be a podcast in and of itself. Some of the stories I have from working there, um, and ended up working with Jim Ronding here in Superior on his real estate team. Learned the ins and outs of the business, and then kind of broke off on my own when he sold the franchise, and it's what I'm still doing.
And on the weekends, you color your hair and you play the drums.
You're right, absolutely.
I see
Turn into
there's no color in it today.
no, this is just my normal hair. But yeah, on weekends, my alter ego Bay Cool takes over. That's
Okay.
an homage to Trey Cool from Green Day. So I always try to hone my inner Trey when I go on stage.
Okay. Question two. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
I'm actually a licensed pilot. I have my private pilot license, and I love to fly. Fly a Cessna 172 that I rent over in Superior. Uh, Love to fly. That's one of them. I love to read, hang out with friends, uh, and obviously I have two kids. Love to hang out with them, and uh, their hobbies kind of well, hanging out with them and taking care of them is really probably my biggest hobby of all. And I love every minute of it.
Okay. Question three. If you owned a chimpanzee, what would his name be?
Oh boy. Never really thought about this. If I owned a chimp, um, I don't know. I might even call him Booty just for the hell of it. Like, bring him to the shows, and then when everyone's always asking who's Booty, bring out a chimp.
All right.
Like, because we never have an answer for that. We always say, it's the fish on the logo. But if we can bring out a chimpanzee running around, who's Booty? There he is, swinging from the lights.
Yeah, that'd be all right. So
Yeah, that's
are
never
you
thought of that one.
are you into reality shows at all? Have you watched any reality shows?
Not in years. I mean, I used to in college, like me and my roommates and stuff, but
Okay,
not in a long time.
this next question is going to involve a reality show. That's why I asked. So,
Okay.
question four: would you be on a season of Naked and Afraid?
Not a chance. I would I'd be scared to death within 20 minutes. Like I'm more on the afraid side than anything. I wouldn't make it. I like food too much. I like comfort. I mean I'll go camping once in a while, but no, couldn't do that. That's just way too far outside what I my life.
Okay. Question five: what is something you wish music fans would stop doing?
Got to think about this one for a minute. I do love our fans. Um, So I have trouble thinking about what I wish they would stop doing. Um, my biggest answer is from shows directly, and maybe this isn't all music fans, but our fans in general. Every time we play a show, first set, before they've got drunk, they all stand back like they're scared of us. They all form this goofy, like little semicircle for most of first set, and it takes them a while to come up front. I wish they would just, stop forming this weird semicircle that no one wants to really go into the middle of. Like, come on up front, just party from the start. It doesn't matter. I'm not judging. Nobody's judging. In fact, we like it when you're up close. I hate when they form this goofy circle then that nobody wants to come up front. So I wish they'd stop doing that. It's annoying.
Hey, that's a great answer, actually. I mean, that's only going to help you. So that wasn't even really a negative answer.
Yeah, I mean, we try to get them up. Like it takes, but I think they need some liquid courage sometimes. But they just got to know, like, we aren't judging. We want you up here. Come on up and party. Like, have fun.
All right, question 6. Can you tell me an interesting story out of your music career?
An interesting story. Um, Again, these are things I have to think about a little bit. What's actually interesting? I mean, a lot of it, to be honest with you, the day to day, it's more drudgery than you would think. Especially in the local cover band scene, we don't have a lot of the you know rock star life. We spend a lot of time hauling gear around and playing our shows. I mean, one of the best ones recently, it was actually a technical issue. Um, we were at Superior Tavern and Basket Case by Green Day. For whatever reason, that song has cursed us as a band as far as tech issues go. There's always a problem with the lights, with a guitar, with drums. Who knows? Something always goes wrong in this song. And for the last year or so, we can't figure out why. It's for different reasons every time. And sometimes it doesn't happen. But at several shows, we have the fog machines go off at the end of the solo, the guitar solo. When he says you got to hold on, and then the fog machines go up, the geysers. And for whatever reason, they get stuck on and they won't shut off. And then the whole place gets so full of smoke, we can't see anything. They can't see anything. And the fog machine just keeps going. And now we've kind of figured it out that we have to have the guitar players have to be ready to just turn them off. But we've had a couple shows where the fog just keeps going, and we have to laugh. At our February show at Superior Tavern, our residency show, we had the cops show up twice for various. There was a fight at the end, and there was a guy passed out on the sidewalk at the start. The ambulance was there, and the fire department showed up when the fog machine wouldn't quit and the smoke alarms started going off. So we had all three sets of first responders show up at one of our shows. So that's how wild it gets.
All right, question 7. Would you do a cage dive with sharks?
Absolutely. As long as I'm in the cage, like I don't want to be outside swimming around, but if I'm inside the cage, for sure, I would do that. I'm really big on crossing things off my bucket list. So, that sounds like one that'd be a good one. So
Okay.
sign me up. Let's do it.
All right, question 8. If you owned a bar or a club, what would you name it?
Ooh. Here's the thing, working in commercial real estate, never going to buy a bar. But I've seen the realities of it too much. But if I was going to buy a bar, I'd call it the Washington. And reason being, we have a bar here in the basement of my house, and we live on Washington Street. So I would just call it the Washington. That's what we call our bar here. That's what I'd call it.
Okay. Question 9. If you could go back in time to tell your younger self some advice, What age would you go back to, and what would you tell yourself?
Oh, so this I've thought about this one a lot, and I worry because I wouldn't want to affect anything that would make it so that I don't have my kids. Because they talk about that butterfly effect. Um, so I'd be very careful about going back farther than like in February of last year when I had my youngest. But I mean, if I was gonna go back and do it just for sake of the question, I would probably go back to like 21 years old, 22, and I would just say buy Bitcoin. Go all in. Don't hold back. Put it all in, buddy.
All right. Question 10. What's the last music concert you went to?
Um, it's been a while since I've been to one just because having kids and all. But it may have been oh no, we went to Hailstorm when they were at the deck last fall. Excellent show. Loved it.
Okay. Question 11. If you could sit down with a former president, what president would you want to sit down with and have a conversation?
Um, that's a tough one. If I had to pick a president, I mean, Lincoln is the obvious answer, just to chat about holding the Union together. But I might want to sit down with like Eisenhower. Um, I think that the Cold War, the time period in which he lived, is very interesting. I'd want to learn more about his experience in World War II and his experience being a president during the Cold War. And I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think that's when, if aliens contacted us, it would have been during Eisenhower's administration. So I'd be curious. I'd want to ask him about that.
Okay. Question 12. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from another musician, and who was it?
It wasn't advice that I was given, personally, but it's advice that I take to heart. It's Neil Peart, the drummer from Rush, the late drummer from Rush. Uh, Incredible, one of my heroes. And he always used to use the maxim, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And that I try to live by. I'm more of a groove focused drummer than like trying to be flashy. So always keeping my parts locked into the groove, really in the pocket. I love to keep that simple. And then he always would say, Kiss leads to love, and love is leave out virtually everything. So whenever I'm like developing a part or thinking about what I want to do, when I start to get too out there with my ideas, I fall back to that of my most important job is to keep that groove, keep people dancing, and really just support the rest of the band. So that I think is one of the philosophies I live by behind the kit.
Okay. All right. Question 13. What's the craziest or the funny story that ever happened between you and a fan?
Between me and a fan. Uh, uh, I don't know. Booty doesn't really have that many fans, but of the fans that we have, they're pretty die hard. And I have to say the funniest, and Bobby, if you're listening, you'll get a kick out of this. Um, at our Halloween show this year, I'm sitting there and getting ready and stuff, and I hear somebody yell, "Hey, Bay Cool!" I'm like, "What's going on?" I turn around, and one of our fans, Bobby, is dressed up for Halloween as me, like wearing my tie, wearing the whole, painted her hair green, the whole thing. So that takes the cake. I mean, somebody dressed up as me for Halloween, hilarious. Even had drumsticks, the whole shebang.
All right. That's got to be pretty cool, though.
Yeah, yeah. It was so funny just see her coming out as Bay Cool.
Nice. Now, I've noticed on your social media that you put a few different quotes up there that you like. So I'm assuming that you kind of like quotes. So, question 14, what is your favorite quote?
Ooh. My favorite quote probably of all time um, comes from Randy Pausch and his series. Well, he gave this. He was a professor at Cornell University who was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was giving this lecture series called The Last Lecture. And I highly recommend looking it up. But one of the quotes he says in there is that brick walls only exist to separate those people who want to achieve their dreams from those who don't. So when you come up, and what that means is when you come up against adversity, when you're trying to do something great, the only reason those hurdles exist is to separate those who don't care enough from those who do. And that inspires me to push through those brick walls and keep pushing. I think about that all the time. Anytime I'm encountering adversity, keep going, push through that wall because that's what's going to separate me from everyone else.
Okay. Question 15, what has been the biggest accomplishment in your life?
Becoming a dad. I mean, that's the obvious answer. I love my kids, and Evelyn is our miracle baby. Um, After trying for a long time, we were blessed with her, and then our son August. Love them both to pieces. So, becoming a dad and then marrying my wife Shannon. Those are my crowning achievements.
Okay. Question 16, if you had the power of invisibility for 24 hours, how would you use it?
Wow. 24 hours invisibility. I feel like there's so many things you could do. Um, I would try to figure out as much as I could about the Epstein files and bust the case wide open and save America. That's what I would do. I'd get all these pedos in jail and figure it out.
Okay. All right. Question 17, if you had to spend 30 days in a jail cell, what musician would you choose to be your cellmate?
I don't know, someone I could live with for 30 days. I think I'd want somebody cool, somebody laid back. I couldn't live in a cell with like Tommy Lee or somebody from Motley Crue or Van Halen or something. It would drive me nuts. Um, I'd probably go with like maybe Les Claypool or something. I think he'd be kind of cool, the bass player from Primus. I think he'd be somebody I could live with for 30 days because he seems like he'd be chill, but he also has a depth of musical knowledge that we could really kick it and talk about some cool stuff.
Okay. All right. Question 18, if you had to give a speech to a group of kids, what topic would you talk about?
I don't know what a group of kids would want to listen to me for. Uh, but I mean, if I had to talk to them about anything, I'd talk to them about the importance of family and, you know, as big as important as money is, important as, anything else in this world is, there's nothing like your family. There's nothing more important than that. And really, your friends, sticking with your friends, um, hanging out with your friends. Your friends and family are the only ones there for you, and that's probably what I would talk about. The importance of keeping those people near you.
Okay. Question 19, if you could win an Olympic medal, what sport or event would it be for?
Skeleton. Because honestly, I'm convinced that's more of a stunt than it is a sport. Um, you just got to have the balls to go down a freaking ice slide head first. So I don't know. I can play jackass and run real fast and slide. Otherwise, I am not talented enough at any sport to medal. I get tired after running, down the block.
Okay. All right. Question 20. Last question. What's the best dish you can cook?
Oh, the best I can cook. It's a lot of work, and my wife hates when I do it because it takes all day. But if I'm gonna go with one, I'm gonna say it's beef Wellington. I've done it a couple times. It's really hard to do, but that's the best I can do.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to come on and have fun with the 20 random questions and talk about the band a little bit and some of the history of it. If you got anything to say to your fans before we end, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm thankful for the time on the podcast. Thank you for inviting me on. And to all the fans, we'll see you coming up here first Saturday in April. I think it's the 7th, but either way, we'll see you that first Saturday in April at Superior Tavern. And we've got something new cooking. So keep an eye on the social media because we're about to drop a bomb that's gonna change everything. Just you wait.
All right. And I promise it's not a chimp.
Nope, not we're not buying a chimp named Booty.
All right. Hold on. And with that, the truth has spoken.